Okay, with Standard 14b, we're looking at the U.S. involvement in Latin America and how it's actually reflected in our actions or our legislation. And that legislation is the Roosevelt corollary, which is an addition to the Monroe Doctrine. We talked about that units ago. James Monroe created a doctrine that said European nations couldn't come into Latin America and we would keep them out by force, or protect Latin America by force. And also, creating the Panama Canal kind of shows our involvement in Latin America too. Okay. The Panama Canal is a really great example of the fact that the United States was in a really great position to be able to take control in Latin America and kind of impose our will. So in Central America, if you go down below Mexico, below those nations, before you get to South America, there's a piece of land called Panama. And what we'll do is we will build a canal that will link the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. And we do this for several reasons. 3 of them are listed in this PowerPoint. Okay. Reason number 1, it shortens the sailing time from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean and vice versa. This way we don't have to sail all the way around the bottom part of South America. We also need to be able to move our fleets, our naval fleet, faster, more efficiently. And this allows us to do it. It saves us a lot of time and wear and tear on our ships. And we also need to be able to have a way to protect our holdings in the Pacific, specifically Hawaii. We do have places set up in the Philippines, but Hawaii is kind of the big one. And remember, anything that's in pink or purple are your vocabulary terms, and the yellow are the notes that you need to be taking. Okay. If we look at the Roosevelt corollary, the United States looked at Latin America as a place that we felt obligated to protect. It also had markets and raw materials that we wanted access to. So what Theodore Roosevelt is going to do is he's going to take the Monroe Doctrine, and if you remember a few months back, I showed you a political cartoon of Uncle Sam, and he drew a line in the sand, told the European nations, stay out of the Western Hemisphere. Well, Theodore Roosevelt is going to add something to it called the Roosevelt corollary. And it basically says the U.S. is going to act as a police force in Latin America, which means anytime European forces come into the Western Hemisphere, we're going to get involved. Roosevelt felt a show of strength, a show of force was a great way to diplomatically convince other countries that we were capable and basically wouldn't be messed with. We call this Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy, and his ideas his quote was, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." You don't have to speak real loud, but if you've got the weapons and the forces to back you up, nobody will mess with you, and you will go far. Okay. So I wanted you to see this picture, this political cartoon. This is Theodore Roosevelt kind of tromping through the ocean in the Caribbean Sea. And here's the U.S. naval fleet kind of band around him, and his big stick that he's carrying to say, you know, if you mess with me or mess with the United States or any of those lands that we protect, we'll use force if necessary to hold you back and make sure that you don't do it again. So I want you to kind of think, if you're an American businessman, you have the U.S. military behind you securing these lands and these markets. How does that make you feel? And then if you were a citizen in Latin America, in the Caribbean, or any of these countries, how do you feel about the United States getting involved and saying, we will protect you by force? You know, what do they expect in return? And that would be a very careful consideration to have, so kind of think about that.